The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Hey, jingity-jing, it's Dominic the donkey, jingity-jing, the Italian Christmas donkey, la la la, la 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 la, la la la, la 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 la.
Well, I don't want to interrupt Lou Monte and the Christmas classic Liam Trotter Dominic the Italian Christmas donkey. But we have to start the show, the final 9 years podcast of 2017 with Nick Draper and Stuart Deakins. And we have many things to discuss this week, including the January transfer window and our potential targets, our reflections on the summer transfer window, our record over the past 12 months, that's the teams, not the podcasts, our record against the bottom 8 teams in League One, Abdou, of course, and a preview of the Gillingham game on Saturday. But first, a look back on our 2 games just prior to and post-Christmas. A fine 2-1 win over Bradford, followed up by a lacklustre 2-1 defeat away at Portsmouth. Which I must say, Stu, if we'd have entered that Boxing Day performance back in September, and actually you could probably say we did, because the home defeat to Portsmouth was pretty much identical to the one on Boxing Day, our fans would have been up in arms. They'd have been lamenting our lack of attacking intent, lack of chances, and really, bottom line, lack of ability. So I don't understand why this performance has been received so well by so many. We had no meaningful possession. We were slow, we were ponderous, offered nothing going forward. Their keeper had nothing to do all game. I think in the freezing wind and rain, he was probably praying for something to do. He's probably catching hypothermia, just standing around doing nothing. And then again, individual errors, again, have cost us. So why is it, do you think, so many fans appear to have accepted this defeat so happily? Granted, on social media, of course, which is never the best barometer, but I'm seeing a lot of people saying, yeah, great performance, really encouraged by it. I didn't see it. I just did not see it.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes when you get Christmas games, we obviously started off the Christmas period with a great home win against Bradford, so that's given us the sort of 3-point buffer, which I suppose we weren't really expecting. I think we probably thought Bradford's a bonus game. Pretty could argue that the first two games were bonus games, Bradford and Pompey. So I suppose getting 3 points off Bradford gave us that little bit of a buffer. And Pompey defeat, it's Christmas, it's Boxing Day. We have 2 games to come up. I suppose fans have probably just gone, do you know what? We've only got 3 points in the bag we didn't expect. We'll cross that one off and we go again against Gillingham. But I get what you mean. We shouldn't be happy to lose. Not the way we lost as well. We're going to obviously go back through the goals, 2 mistakes. But Pompey, as we saw at home, I don't think Pompey are that great. Yeah, they've obviously got some decent forwards and stuff, but they're nothing. If I compared Bradford and Pompey, I think Bradford are light years ahead of them, but we seem to struggle against Pompey all the time.
It's one of those where I think Portsmouth know that we're not going to break them down. We're not good enough. So in the first game, they didn't have to do anything all game. Essentially, Portsmouth came for a 0-0 draw, didn't they, at Kingsmeadow, and they walked off with a 2-0 win. Because they didn't really ever look to take the game to us, and they didn't really do that either on Boxing Day. But, as you say, we make mistakes. We give away soft goals. I know what you're saying. I know we had the extra points against Bradford. I know it's Boxing Day and everyone's in a good mood. It's Christmas and all that sort of thing. I just think that performance, we talked so many times this season about our negativity in the way we start games and how we never seem to learn from that. And we've gone backwards, in my opinion, in the way we approach this game, and we were punished for it. And I know that we're going to talk about Barry Fuller and the push and the penalty and all that costing us a point, possibly. But we were in position, having equalised, to go and take the game to them and try and win that game. Momentum had changed, shifted in our favour. And again, we're hesitant, we're nervous, we just don't feel like we can take the game to opposition. It's frustrating beyond belief, really.
Yeah, you've got to look at when we got back into that game. We've got, I've not actually seen it back, if I'm being truthful, but apparently a fortuitous penalty. This penalty, whatever day is.
Yeah, I must say, fortuitous is the word I would use only in regard of the way it's come about. It's 100% a penalty. The referee, or the linesman, I think, actually gave it. 100% correct giving it, but it is a gift from their centre half.
Yeah. But I think the conditions and everything about on Tuesday, Wednesday, Tuesday.
Who knows this time of
There
year?
you go. Yeah, I wouldn't say whatever day it was. It was Tuesday. But I think the condition-wise, that was a typical game where you weren't going to play pretty football. You weren't going to play fast, attacking, one-touch football. The weather wouldn't allow you to. And I just felt when we got the equaliser, we were going for a draw. I felt we had no intention of going for a win. I don't think we had a formation that could go and get the win. As you have to remember, we made no changes going into from Bradford to Pompey because we can't. We got no change on the bench because we haven't got them. So that was crying out for a big lump, maybe a pressing behind, something a bit different because Pompey did. Pompey bought on the big lad. Is it Hawkins?
Yeah.
They got options on the bench. They should do the amount of budget they got. I know you don't want to talk about budget, but let's be fair, they've done well. They spent well, but they chucked on loads of things. In the end, the big lump causes problems because in that game you can't really play too much. Short game, you can't play it. It just doesn't happen. And I think the thing is, we're quite, as a team, we're good defensively. Of course, when you play three defensive midfielders, then you should be good defensively. But you negate then your attacking influence, and especially if you have no lump up front, then you can't keep the ball. But Pompey won that game without going out of second gear. But what they did do, they had the options to change it, which is what we haven't. And it's been our biggest problem, and it will remain that until we get past the transfer window.
You mentioned the conditions there, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. With the pitch the way it was sodden, it was damp, it was greasy, whatever. But it's not just on Boxing Day. It is a constant theme for us this season about how we move the ball. We are so slow in passing the ball. Everything is so laboured. We don't attack with pace. I'm going back to the start of the season. Neil Lally thinking about changing the way we play and more possession-based passing football, and we're soon realising we clearly just don't have the players to do it. Clearly, we just don't. And our upturning form of late, recently, better performances have come where we've been more direct and more high tempo and looking to get those balls in behind, like you say. So it still makes me laugh then how we seem to be stuck in this situation again, where we're trying to force openings or find openings, which we just can't do. We get the ball and we take a touch, and it seems to take about half an hour then to pass it, and then it tends to go sideways and backwards, and we end up losing it anyway.
Yeah, we're looking for. If you look at a lot of balls we played second half, especially, was a lot of balls we played were safety balls. So they're nothing balls. So you play along the line. You don't play in the centre areas because it's like if you play centre areas, and as John Meeks found out, you've got more chance of being intercepted than there's a goal in there. So I think there was a period in the second half where Barry Fuller must have played 4 line balls, and his opposite fullback, his left back, played the same balls. Literally, that's the only ball they were going to play because any ball in field was going to be squandered. Because bear in mind, we play 3 central midfielders, they play a 4-2-3-1, so they very much get the central areas compact. So that's where you don't want to play. You don't want to play in the central areas. So the balls are the line balls. And the only thing that made it different was I think Pittman got in front of Barry Fuller after a little while, and then spun around. They got an attack. But yesterday was a case of no risk football, and that's fine because Pompey play it all day long. They play their Saturday set up. We can't be play for us to play no risk football. We can't. It's boring. It's boring, and you won't get any goals. We haven't got a target man. We haven't got anything to link off Cody. And in the end, out of a game that was a nothing game, Pompey always going to win that because they had a bit extra quality that we didn't have.
Let's talk about fullbacks then. You've mentioned them there. 2 goals we conceded, 2 mistakes from the 2 fullbacks. Jonathan Meads, start with him, come in for a bit of criticism since his return to the side. Hasn't looked hasn't looked match sharp whatsoever. But I would say that against Portsmouth, that was his best performance. I thought he was very, very good, in fact. He was let down by that one mistake, which we got punished for with the goal.
Yeah, and John,
it is a bad mistake, though. It's a really bad mistake.
It's a bad mistake for 2 reasons. One of the ball he plays, until we just said about no risk football.
Yeah.
And the minute of the game,
Yeah.
just for half time. You go away from home. You basically, when you go away from home, you basically separate the games into little segments. So you go first 10, first quarter, first 10, first 20, then get a half time. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go away from home, you want points, or you want to come away from a point in Pompey, which is difficult. You separate the games. So no doubt they must have been going. You hope, hey, look, got a couple of minutes for half time. Nothing silly, bang, because your team talk change. All of a sudden, their team talk is, good. We've got to win. We've got the lead. Let's go and push on for a second. We've got to come out. We've got nothing on the bench to change the options. So the first goal, the difference is Bradford, we got an early goal. Hold on to something. Where Pompey let the first goal go in. They're suited for that. I think they've got the most clean sheets this season. They're set up they're probably the most boring team in the league.
Yeah.
But they would do well.
Yeah. I would, on the evidence of what I've seen this season, I think. But that's a canny manager as well that knows how to get results as opposed to perhaps entertaining football.
But he's done nothing different to what Paul Cook done, because Paul Cook played the 4-2-3-1. So he's kept the same formation. I can't go, I'm not going to go and say Kenny Jackett all his formations, but he hasn't really changed an awful lot there. 4-2-3-1 is how they played under Paul Cook when they got out of this league. That's how he's always famously played. That's why he got rid of Tubbs, because Tubbs was never going to play as one person up front.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. So I want to say,
but is it
it's not a hard job, is it?
It's 4-2-3-1 though, where Paul Cook probably gets his fullbacks in possession on the ball, flooding forward, joining in. Whereas you've said Kenny Jackett probably gets his fullbacks, and first opportunity they get, try and hit the front men as quickly as possible. I guess that's the difference.
Because you've got Brett Pitman up front, who's not the biggest forward, but he's clever, he's canny, and as Barry Fuller would testament, he's a clever little player, isn't
he? Yes. So let's talk about Barry Fuller, who was coming for criticism this season as well. And 2 penalties against Portsmouth against the same player. He doesn't need much encouragement to go down. We will talk about that more, I'm sure. But Neil Hardy's quite right. Same as in the first one. If you remember, we were right in line, weren't we, with the Portsmouth home penalty? And we called penalty all day long because he's pushed him. But he has. There's contact. It's not a great deal of contact. Pitman seems to fly a lot further than the amount of contact would suggest physically he would be able to. But then you don't give the referee the opportunity, do you, to give a penalty? So
not when he's given an away penalty.
No, to make the same mistake twice is mad.
I think, he gave a week. Lino gave a penalty for us. It's psychologically, referees are under pressure. It's a sellout at Pompey, big crowd, big atmosphere. Don't take much, does it? And also, do we really argue? Do you really see any of our players go around the referee really believing it wasn't a penalty?
This is a conversation I'm going to reference a bit later on, actually, when we talk about players arguing penalties, because I think I have to clear this up a little bit. Because I've said in the past, haven't I, we're far too nice and we accept things too readily and we don't put pressure onto referees. There is a fine line here between putting pressure on referees when you feel like you are owed a decision, and then the opposite, which is putting pressure on referees where you're blatantly lying and cheating and you don't deserve anything. And I think we don't do either, let's be honest.
No.
But I think if Barry Fuller genuinely thought he was wronged, then the arguments, well, there would have been some, there would have been any. There was nothing. It was penalty point to the spot. It's at the opposite end from where we are at Fratton Park, so we don't have a great view of what's actually happened at the time. You are, or I am certainly, taking my lead from what I see the players do, and the players don't do anything. They just kind of slump their shoulders, go, all right, there we go.
I think the thing of Barry Fuller is he probably doesn't even think it's not a penalty. I think his is more frustration that he's got done again. I think it's more frustration. I think his anger at referee is not the anger the referee's given it. He's anger that he's given the referee the opportunity to give it, and he's got it done again. And that's the we've got a captain who's played 400 league games, so experience-wise has been around the block, and he's been done twice by a canny, awkward, horrible little player. And both times, realistically, they just tied the game, haven't they?
Yes.
So,
in both cases, yes.
Frustrating.
And also frustrating, similar to the Wigan game, the last 20 minutes, after we'd gone behind against Wigan, we threw the towel in. We really did. I don't think I'm saying that harshly. And it was the same again. 2-1 down, and it was game over. No one in that stadium thought the result would be anything different than 2-1 come full time. Because
we have nothing to bring on, do we? You can remember the days when, last season, for argument's sake, so we played 2, we normally played 2 and 2, weren't we? So, Polion, Elliott, Lyle, and one other. Who am I thinking of?
Tyrone Barnett. How can you forget Tyrone Barnett?
How can I forget about that?
All-action superhero of a player.
That's where he takes my argument away. But for argument's sake, if Lyle and Tyrone are playing and Don Polion starts warming up, the crowd they start singing Don Polion song. We don't get on warming up anymore. We don't, you look at a lot of games, we've got a centre-half all the way up. What's the point in that? We've got a goalkeeper just trying to keep warm. We have no changeable substitutions. Edgar Garja hasn't made the impact we want him to. And should he in his first real proper season breaking through? But it's not as if the fans believe we have anything on the bench to change it. I must admit, I've done lots of stats breaking down today, but I'd be interested to break down our percentage of subs we use compared to other teams, because it seems to me that all the other teams use their 3 subs. We don't want to, unless we're in a situation like Bradford where we're doing another centre-half, another goalkeeper. We don't put any attacking substitutions. We just don't have any. That's our problem. That's why the fans don't believe, and you and I don't believe we can turn around as a feat. We just don't have the options, and that's desperately what we need to change in the transfer window.
What was different about the Bradford game then? Why was that so successful? What did we do differently that led us to what was a very deserved, well-merited win?
Well, we kept the lead was the most important thing. So we got a lead early for a good goal by Cody. And Cody scared them. Cody's getting, obviously, if we go now on to Tuesday's result, they just lost 3-1 at home to Peterborough. So that's obviously gone into their game. But Cody gave them problems all day long. We then got lots of opportunities, and arguably it could have been 3 or 4 up at half time. We did something on our Facebook Live. But I think we were always in the game, and I think home games are a little bit different. If you can keep yourself in amongst the game, it's good. Pompey's a difficult place to go to. So it's a different side of it. But I think the Bradford game was, we called Bradford on a perfect day. You know, Jake Reeves looked like he had sent his Christmas cards to a lot of our players and didn't really want to sort of rub it in the salt in the wounds and then nick 3 points off us. You know, he had a bad game, which is shown by the fact he didn't play on Tuesday. So I think we had a lot of, not fortune, but, you know, sometimes you need a rub of the green, and we played a Bradford team at the right time.
Now, just prior to that game, in fact, I think Neil Ollie did actually come out and admit we are in a relegation battle now.
Did he?
He did. I think it was in one of the local newspapers where he said, look, we are in a fight against relegation, and this is what we'll need and what we expect from our players. Yeah, those words were attributed.
Not recorded, but they're written down.
Yes, not recorded, but they have been attributed to him through local media, not through official media.
Okay.
But with that said, is it now time we adjust our expectations? Because as I've said, and it's been a running theme for me throughout the season, I think people might be bored of me saying it, expectation is a big deal for us, and a lot of the performances have been met with probably more unrest, displeasure, disquiet than you would expect, probably because we had our expectations raised pre-season. Whereas my big thing is, if he'd have come out and said, I just think if he'd have said
would you have accepted him saying, I know you argument. I know you're coming from, because he said we'd be a top 10, didn't he?
Yeah.
And you and I said it, and you and I both there, and both, I think, puffed our cheeks out and went, that's a mistake. Because you know what? You know, I've said this many times, we have a crowd that's not used to consolidation. You know, if you say consolidation to a Wimbledon fan who's been a Wimbledon fan for 10 years, they think that's just outside the playoffs.
Yeah.
To them, that's their consolidation.
And I think also we had that. I think we were probably in a similar position not so long ago around the Michael Smith, Matt Tubbs seasons that we had.
Yeah.
Where people were asking questions then because, as you say, we were just standing still almost.
Yeah, we don't have fans that accept that. So you're right. If he come out and said, well, you always want to drop a season to make a season exciting. And Neil Hardy was genuinely excited with the signings that he made.
He was.
You know, there's no doubt about that. That wasn't. You and I have been to them meet the managers enough times to know whether he's excited or not. And he was genuinely excited, and he may still be proven right with some of them signings. But to say the top 10 was criminal, so then you're backtracking. So then when you go in a relegation battle, you're going, well, I've gone from saying that we go top 10, potentially playoffs, to now going, we just want to keep our head above water and stay out of this trouble. Then also admitting that his recruitment was wrong. And you know what, I've been from him. He always eventually holds his hand up. He took a little bit longer this season than he normally does. He was a bit stubborn early on and kept playing his formation. But now he's starting to come out and going, hey, look, this is the problem. He will get a more of a benefit of doubt from a Wimbledon fan rather than going, stats don't lie, and, you know, the Neil Hardy stat budget thing that he's brought out so many times. Now in it together, relegation battle, let's go for it.
And I think it also comes back to the turning point conversation we had about a month ago or 6 weeks ago after we won at Bristol Rovers, and people spoke of turning points. Well, when you're in a relegation battle like we are, you don't have turning points as such, do you? You're in that battle all season. You pick up results here and there and wins here and there. but you don't suddenly go on great runs of form which take you from bottom 4 to top 8.
No, we haven't done that. But I would still argue that the Bristol Rovers was some sort of turning point. Not in terms of running, you're right, not in terms of like a playoff running form, but I think it was a turning point of us realising that 4-3-3 didn't work. I think he realised a few things then that actually, do you know what? We had to fight. We worked hard together, play 4-4-2, be a bit of the old Wimbledon. So I wouldn't say it was a turning point, but it was a sudden realisation that actually everything was hunky-dory. So I still do think the Bristol Rovers had some sort of relevance to the season because I'm a damn sight more, not say confident, but I'm a damn sight more positive now watching Wimbledon than I was if I'm going back to watching Pompey at home when we got beat 2-0. Because I'm off my seat now in generally thinking we got goals in us, whereas I didn't for the first couple of months.
Very true. Speaking of Bristol Rovers game, and one player that was very important to us that day, Harry Forrester, let's have a quick conversation about him because he was suspended for the Bradford game and then missing for the Portsmouth game. Local media in Glasgow reported that it was because Rangers were, in fact, reviewing all their loan players and that every single one of them, whichever club they may be at, was being under review, shall we say, for the second half of their season, because they will go on a little break, won't they, very shortly in Scotland. So, since come out that that's not the case, he had picked up an injury in training on Christmas Eve, we are told, a bit of a hamstring problem that kept him out of action. How much do you believe that to be the case? It seems unusual to pick up an injury of that sort in training on Christmas Eve, bearing in mind, I can't imagine we were doing anything particularly, strenuous during this Christmas period.
Yeah, the Harry Forrester one's an interesting, isn't it? Because he could have got injured in training. It can happen. Most innocuous thing, not warm. Just generally could be at the start of your training session where you're warming up or you just haven't warmed up enough. Then that's your problem. But also, it's not a surprise that Rangers, the new manager at Rangers wants to recall, or at least have a look at the players that he set out loan, because any manager worth their salt would, rightly so, want to make sure they have all the best players they've got. So that's not a major surprise, and I think I said that many, many weeks ago. We may have gone with the recall in the window. But yeah, it's just, I think the problem we got is that Harry Forrester would have been a player that would have gone probably straight in. We just said we had no options for Pompey to change, and Harry Forrester would have been one of those players. But I think we need to. I think we did get a little bit hoodwinked by this story. We've since disciplined George because George got excited. Best everyone knows George.
You've disciplined George, but I didn't want any involvement in that.
We just cut his hair a bit shorter than what it was on Saturday. But yeah, I think we've got hoodwinked by a little bit of a story that is a bit of a nothing. And in the end, Neil Hardy's had to bring in the report. So Neil Hardy's had to justify Harry Forrester being at the club for one of our things. So we apologise for that. That was never our intention, and George's been severely disciplined, and you will see him with a short haircut next week. But it's not a surprise. I think we have to make sure that we try and keep Harry Forrester because he definitely is one of the attacking options we desperately need. But it also wouldn't surprise me if Rangers recalled him, because it's bound to be a recall option in any sort of loan deal.
He's a player we need. We need that extra bit of creativity because there are teams around us that are picking up momentum. And with that said, looking at League One over the past couple of games, Stu, who for you had the best week?
Best week? If in terms of teams around us, you can't argue that, say, Plymouth had a storming week. I think Peterborough have had a great week as well.
Yes.
So two things I don't want to look at the bottom too much. But if you do, Plymouth pretty scary.
Yeah, Plymouth had the big 4-1 win, didn't they, on the day 23rd, the Saturday?
Yes.
And then on Boxing Day went to that place we all know and love and got a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
Which was a shame because they played their part in the bargain, really, because had we won at Portsmouth by 2 goals, then we'd have gone above that lot. But we'll talk about that more shortly. Who had the worst week?
Well, see, I think it's only one game they had, but it's enough to ruin your season. Oxford are getting stung 7-0 at home to Wigan. They did recover a little bit and got a draw against Gillingham.
Yeah.
But I think the damage is done. I wouldn't be interested. I wouldn't be surprised to see if that manager, he's a Spanish manager, isn't he? I wouldn't be surprised to see him under pressure. Because and the Oxford team the goals I saw the Wigan score were just not not goals that I expect Oxford to concede. They just poured the whole way through. And I think, yeah, even though it was one game, I think Oxford have had a right terrible week. What about you, mate?
Oldham, just mentioned Plymouth there, beat Oldham 4-1 the other day, and then they came to a home game on Boxing Day with Fleetwood, who were in dire form, and Fleetwood have somehow run away with a 2-1 win. So Fleetwood have arrested their slump or mini slump, and Oldham 2 defeats on the bounce. Very interesting month in January for Oldham, I think, with potential transfers, ins, and more importantly, outs for them.
Yes.
Will determine whether they continue to climb away or if they get dragged back down into the bottom 6. So we shall see.
I must admit, Joe, what? I think the transfer window for all the teams down the bottom is massive, especially when the window's open now, where you can't get loan deals in and you pay do this. So basically, by the 31st of January, what you've got left with is that's what you got. That's it. You can't do anything else. And I think it's going to be I think it's going to be like a gunfight, this transfer window. I reckon we're all going to be going for similar sort of players. And it'll be the ones who either pay stupid money or the managers who are able to influence the player to see their vision that will get the players they want. It's probably one of the biggest transfer windows we've been involved in, I reckon, for a little while.
If it does ending up in a gunfight, things would have escalated very quickly. But who was your hero of the past week?
Joe, because it's Christmas, I give you so many stories.
Father Christmas?
Father Christmas, because you're heroes, you give me some presents. No, Joe, I think all the volunteers, that we're very much a club that's full of volunteers. But you see such heartwarming stories of people giving up their whole Christmas day to help homeless people and people not as fortunate as themselves. And there was a story, one of the train station's main ones, was it Euston or St Pancras? Yeah. Opened up and
Euston, wasn't it?
Yeah, and all the homeless. I just think, Joe, I don't think these people do it for publicity, but genuinely for the goods of their own hearts. So all the volunteers that help the ones that are less fortunate for themselves at this time of year.
That's a lovely sentiment, but I'm now going to ruin it almost immediately because as you're saying that, I'm just looking over my shoulder. Clearly, we're recording this on Wednesday evening.
Yes.
As you might have already gathered by all our references to yesterday's game. And I've just left my TV on BBC One. I don't know how or why. Question of Sport is on. I don't know what Question of Sport in years. Alex Scott is a panellist on Question of Sport, and I'm sure she's doing a fine job. She looks like she's as illuminating as always. However, the clue, I think, is it Matt Dawson? He's trying to...
Yeah, the old
it's like charades. And he's trying to communicate the answers to his teammates, which looks like Dion Dublin and Alex Scott. And the one came up, the one he was just trying to do was Turf Moor.
Oh.
Imagine if you were doing that, Stu.
That's
They'd never
easy.
get it. They'd be like, Turf Mill? What's that? Not heard of that.
Question of Sport, is that still going on?
No, Stu, I'm making this all up. This is all a figment of my imagination.
God, dear. What do you pay our TV licenses for? They just recycle old rubbish.
I don't know. Alex Scott's on it, though, so it can't be all bad.
You're easily influenced.
I am easily pleased.
Yeah.
Who's your villain of the week?
Villain of the week, Joe, what? I get fed up with this Premiership thing, this Premiership razzmatazz going on at the moment. Jose...
Are you getting sponsored by the Razzmatazz Corporation?
Razzle dazzle.
Dear.
Jose Mourinho for moaning that he hasn't got enough money. Unbelievable. There's obviously, yes, people know it's Wednesday evening, so as we've gone, just before we've gone to record, Liverpool spent £75 million on a defender. £75 million.
Can I just change your word in there, your phraseology there slightly, and say Liverpool have paid £75 million for a footballer?
Yes.
Ignoring what position he plays.
What did Bale go for to Real Madrid? Was it 80 or 90 million?
It was over 80, wasn't it?
You know, we're talking about a player that can change a game in a moment. We've got a centre half who couldn't get into the Southampton team. I know because he was striking. But yeah, Jose Mourinho's my villain. I just get the Premiership at the moment gets further and further away from reality and from the general working class fan. That I just think good luck to you, Tommy. If you're a Premiership fan, you're watching players that just basically live in a different world, and the money's ridiculous now. That's my rant over. What about you?
Well, I'll just add to yours before I say mine. The Virgil van Dijk signing then. Honestly, what is this Van Dijk thing? It's because he's a vaguely competent centre-half. All of a sudden, people rate him. He's rubbish, okay? They have been hoodwinked. Like, nobody, no player, no person is worth £75 million for. Imagine all the world's ills you could cure with that amount of money. But then Virgil van Dijk, really?
Well, I put a tweet earlier. You say our budget is £1.5 million a year. Our budget to run our squad. Yeah. We could run for 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
50. You know,
with that fee, yeah.
It's just unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you think about, I think it's just like, you know, if you're a working class fan, you're paying through the nose to go and watch your club, and then someone's 75 million quid. The thing is, no wonder these players get such. You hear, I balance it a little bit. You hear about a lot of players now going through depression and mental health and that sort of stuff. I'm not surprised. The pressure you must have to be on that price tag. You know, he's a rubbish defender. He's now got to try and play like a £75 million player.
Yeah,
you know
that Virgil.
But yeah, it just feels at the moment, 75 million quid to any team is not that much. You know, Jose Mourinho is saying he wants £300 million because Man City could afford to go and spend 50 million quid on a fullback, as if that's any justification when he spent 70 million on Lukaku. It's just ridiculous money now, isn't it? It's, you know, you think about our transfer record is reported 20 grand, 25 grand.
Yeah, 20 grand.
You know, we received 150 grand or something reportedly for Jake Reeves. The difference between the leagues is just astronomical, and especially in a week when we get, you know, the S106 signed. But if anyone thinks we're going anywhere near the Premiership on our model, then they're living in cuckoo land.
They are indeed. Very quickly then, just to finish up the Premiership bashing for 1 week, my villain is Callum Wilson, the Bournemouth striker who flagrantly cheated on Tuesday, on Boxing Day. Like I said before, put pressure on referees if you feel like the decision has gone unfairly against you. To put the ball in with your arm, and you were offside, I don't care what anyone says, he was offside, he was in an offside position, and then handle the ball over the line, and then have the cheek to say, no, I didn't touch it, you've got to let the goal stand. And then once the goal is given, he runs away celebrating scoring the goal. Well, hold on. How can you be the goal scorer if you didn't touch it? That's a great story. It's ludicrous. And Bournemouth, I'm not a great fan of that club anyway. They didn't cover themselves in glory whatsoever. And his interview afterwards where they said, well, what did you put it in with? He went, magic. I thought, well, mate, that's when you do a Jason Cundy and you shin it from 50 yards and it's complete fluke, but it's fair enough. Not when you've just cheated your way to a point. Not impressed.
Long live Alexa Bliss. The one, the only goddess of WWE.
Okay, we've got lots and lots of little things that we need to talk about this week, so we're going to have to be quite quick as well, because as we do, we sort of go off on tangents, don't we?
Yes.
Let's just have a quick look back over our record in 2017. Now, I spoke to Paul Raymond at Fratton Park on Tuesday, and he's quite right in pointing out that football is not a January to December sport. Football follows the life of a teacher. It goes from the summer to summer. Our calendar begins in August and ends in July. That's how it works. Right now, we're in the middle of a mid-year break. Okay? Therefore, Harry Kane, you have not won any sort of form of record at all, because in football terms, calendar years do not count. Okay? I don't care. I'm not paying any attention to what he's done in 2017 because it doesn't count. It's what you do season to season. That said, we will just look over the calendar year for this podcast, just because I've picked out some very interesting statistics I thought you might be interested in. So we'll breeze through these quickly, Stu.
Yep.
Pretty much, it's also a good indicator of what we'd be like over the course of a season, because if the game against Bury had not been postponed the start of December, we'd now be on 46 games for the calendar year. We will end the year, having played 46 league games, because we've still got Gillingham to come. But at the moment, we're on 45. From those 45 league games, Stu, we could have picked up a maximum, not that anyone would ever do this, but of 135 points.
Mm-hmm.
What's your estimate for how many we've actually picked up?
I would say we picked up round about third, I don't know, around about 55, 56.
You're not far off. We're just under 50, would you believe?
Okay.
48 points.
So if that was a full season, that would probably mean we haven't hit our 50-point target, or 52-point target that it normally goes for.
With one game of the season remaining, we would have to win it to end up on 51 and hope that there's a lot of mediocre teams in the league, and that'd be enough to keep us up. Yes, we would not have reached our target. How many games have we failed to score in of those 45 league games?
Well, that's quite easy because we had a run in total. And you and I have done that most of the time, haven't we? Was it up to like 20 or something, or 15, 20 games last time? So, where have we got to 20? 19 games?
It's 23 games.
Okay.
So should we score at Gillingham, we would have failed to score in exactly half of our games in the year 2017.
Yep.
It's abysmal. That is abysmal, whichever way you look at it. In 45 league games in 2017, we scored 36 goals.
And to be fair, we've got another thing coming out a little bit later, which I've done some work on today, which actually sort of backs up about our lack of goals. So, yeah, I'll leave that for a little while.
Good.
Yeah. It won't make our listeners any more enthusiastic about our chances, but yeah.
Yes. And speaking about our chances, let's just look at our longest unbeaten run in the calendar year. How many games in the league? Longest unbeaten run, what do you reckon?
It'd have to have come probably early on in the year, I would have thought. It's not massive. 5, 6, 5?
That's optimistic. 4.
Oh.
That was a run of Gillingham away we drew, then we beat Walsall at home, won at Scunthorpe, drew away at Bolton. That was 4. And that was our longest unbeaten run. Longest run without a win in, well, should we do this? I've calculated it for, this gives it away a little bit, in a season. So not combining the two.
Longest without a win?
Yeah.
Probably a good 4 or 5. Last season, the end of last season, I think we went through a run, didn't we? So 5, I reckon.
It's actually 6 in February and April, so we did it twice.
Yeah, because I remember we did it after the franchise game, or just before that, didn't we?
Yeah, so it was February, it was Sheffield United month, Charlton, Coventry draws, and then in April we ended the season 6 without a win. Therefore, if we go from the end of last season and the start of this season, we actually went a whole 9 games without a league win. That doesn't really count though, does it? Top scorers.
That's easy.
Go on, who's our top goal scorer in 2017?
Lyle Taylor.
He is indeed. Who was our second top goal scorer in 2017?
Pass.
Taylor got 12, by the way.
Who's our second top goal scorer? Parrott?
No.
Polio didn't score many goals, did he? He was sold for most of the second half of the season. Oh, Tom Elliott?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
No, go on. I'm losing that one.
It's Andy Barcham with 5.
Wow. The most improved this season.
Yeah, I think got a couple. I think it's 2 and 3 possibly.
Yeah.
Scored away at Gillingham, away at Shrewsbury at the end of last season. This year, off the top of my head, Doncaster, Gillingham at home, and then recently Bristol Rovers away. So yeah. Tom Elliott is level with Cody McDonald and Dean Parrott. Then after that, on 3.
So only one new player's got into the top goal scorers. Well, I suppose we'll see. Well, no, what we had. Yeah, they've had an equal amount of chance, haven't they? So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for cheering me up.
Fair comparison. No, anytime. So those are just some interesting stats for us in the calendar year of 2017. We would do all manner of things, wouldn't we? Like the Oscars, almost end-of-year awards. But we think we can probably... I mean, it's a toss-up, really, between... We all know what the high point of the calendar year was. There's not even a conversation about what game that was. What was the low point? Well, we're losing to Sutton in the FA Cup or losing at home to that lot in the league in September. I mean, either or, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I refuse to allow them the benefit. I refuse to allow them the benefit of thinking they give us a low point, so I'm not going to use them. Sutton by a mile. Sutton, if you think about all the words that we said beforehand, that we were happy for a draw, the pitch, we moaned and all that sort of stuff, and then the irony is they beat us on our pitch.
Yeah,
but Sutton, I think Sutton never has one game been so obvious it killed your season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's when people say one game kills a season. Look at Sutton. That tells you all you need to know.
Now, we are about to enter 2018, which means the January transfer window, and you're going to pick out some of your transfer targets that you would like. But before you do that, Stu, we'll have a very quick review of, if you remember, we picked our top 5 summer transfer window signings, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And I'm going to throw myself under the bus to get this underway, because I'm just going to very quickly touch on, you picked 5, I picked 5.
Yeah.
And you've mentioned there one team having a disastrous result the other week, which was Oxford, losing 7-0 at home to Wigan. Oxford captained that day by centre-half John Mousinho, who was one of my picks, who has been pretty much never present since signing for Oxford, but really his influence is probably marginal, and yes, they got done by 7 the other day. So let's just say, at the moment, John Mousinho is not in the conversation for any end-of-year awards for anyone right now. You had centre-halves as well, though. You had Stephen Taylor.
I did.
At Peterborough.
Yeah, and he's doing well. He's doing well. When he played against us, he's done well. He's got that experience. He's chipping with goals, which I thought he would do. And Peterborough now attacking the second half of the season really well now. So I think that was quite a good one. I'm going to pat myself on the back.
What about Stephen Dawson at Bury?
Oh, what a mayor. But then Bury as a whole is a mayor, isn't it? You know, I thought Dawson was at Scunthorpe, if memory serves you correctly, and they didn't want to lose him. Didn't want to lose him, but it just shows you, doesn't it? You know, when sometimes people go, when they bring players in, they want hunger, desire, all that sort of, all those things that when money's chucked at you, you can lose. And if you look at the Bury team, they are a team that are playing for money rather than any pride or desire or anything like that. So he's caught up in that. What a waste of a time.
Yes, definitely. Let's just keep on your line for the moment, because I think mine are pretty much more attacking players. We both picked Jake Reeves. I mean,
yeah, no brainer, was it?
Yeah, really. But he's doing all right, shall we say, but not putting up any trees. 3 assists, no goals, but then he was never a goal scorer.
Yeah.
Matt Crooks has had a difficult time. Sent off a couple of times, hasn't he? Yeah,
I think it's probably he's trying to do too much in that Northampton team. I think he's their top goal scorer, if I recall. I believe he is. He was up to a couple of weeks ago. I think he's just a victim of being at the wrong team. I think he needs to transfer. He needs to get a move, doesn't he? That I would have taken. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a lot of baggage that goes with that. Obviously,
is he a central midfielder?
That's generally where he plays. He generally gets forward. If you're looking at a midfielder that will attack, then he's your man. Of course, that's why he's got goals. He can travel the ground very quickly. I think he's a quality player, but he's at a stage of his career at the moment where he needs someone to get hold of him and really start getting his career back on track. Because if he doesn't, he's just going to turn out to be an average player. And I think that's a shame, because I think when he was at Accrington along with Windass, I think them two were excellent, and then he got Accrington up on their own. That's harsh. We've got Billy Key and players like that, but they were strong. They were strong influences in getting Accrington to where they were. So he's done all right, but he's in Northampton team who are in relegation trouble. Yes,
in big trouble. My last couple before I touch on who I consider to be the best pick of all of them, but anyway, Michael Kitely, who's got a hamstring. He's suffered with injury this season, so he's had a very stop-start season. In for a bit, out for a long time, back in. He's out again at the moment. Not really happened for him at Southend, which is the story of their season.
Yep.
Dan Adji as well at Warsaw. I think he's doing all right. I think he's a present up there. But they've got, who is it? Tyler Roberts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Who I think has been a bigger influence for them in their recent upturn in form. So probably not doing as well as I thought he might do. Not really scoring the goals like I thought he might do either. That just leaves our one each for you and me, both strikers. You went for Ricky Miller.
Yeah, well, that's until someone told me he's got a problem with his attitude.
just a minor one, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You can't score if you're not on the pitch.
This is very true.
So I think we know that you absolutely bossed it with this one. But I just think it's because you're Luton connections. I don't think you really. I just think you just picked an ex-Luton player.
Jack Marriott was always going to score goals. 14 league goals in 22 league games.
But you know what? Every time I watch him, I've never been overly impressed because he's got a Luton stigma with him.
Oh, of course, that'll be why.
But I've never really gone and thought, wow, what a player. But he's been rumoured to Peterborough and going to lose him already.
That's pretty much what they do, isn't it? Sign players from lower leagues, and then they do really well for a bit, and then they move them straight on.
Yeah, theirs is very much like, if you look at the gambling, if you're liking Peterborough to like a stock exchange, do you want to go and be
first time anyone's ever said that?
Well, I mean, like, if you want to have a steady growth of your money, then invest in Wimbledon. If you want to play a high risk but high reward strategy, do it Peterborough.
Yes,
you'll get, Dwight Gale. There's so many. They even managed to get £1 million for Tyrone Barnett, or did they pay that in the end? They paid that, didn't they? They paid Crawley that for Tyrone Barnett.
I think I might have just gone into shock at the
Exactly.
thought that anyone's paying £1 million.
So it's a high risk. It's a high risk. They do really well, but they gamble on players coming out of non-league and rubbish clubs like Luton, and they get rewards sometimes. But well done, mate. I'll give you credit. You've done really well with that.
Just a 5-0 win away at Swindon on Boxing Day for Luton.
Is it worth it when I was playing that league? They're just what's the record? What's the record amount of goals? Crawley must have it, surely. The amount of goals in that league.
Luton have scored some ridiculous number this season. It's obscene, really. We could probably do is nicking a player off them, perhaps. But you've been looking elsewhere for a list of transfer targets for us in the January transfer window, which I'm looking at now, but I shall let you discuss them. There's just one name on this list, which is just brilliant, but I'll let you go.
Yeah, so basically what I looked at was realistically, I think I've done to do realistically and fantasy, yes, in my fantasy world. So realistically...
Yes, sorry, I do have to say that Stu's done a realistic transfer targets window and a fantasy window targets. And so have I, but my fantasy targets were Paige, Alexa Bliss and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, when we spoke about fantasy,
we
totally well, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so.
So if I go my realistic, I think James Hansen, Sheffield United is a realistic. And my reason I'm saying that is winning these games. Chris Wilder seems to like us. So that's always a plus. The negatives on that, he's never played down south. So, again, he's got a family and that sometimes can be the problem. You know, we've done it with George Long, but he hasn't got a family as such, I don't believe. He's got a partner, but that's not as difficult. Recently, rumours coming out of David Wheeler. No, he's not really a forward, he's more of a winger. But apparently he was interested in joining us before he went to QPR. He's only had 8 games.
Where was he? Was he at Exeter?
He was, yeah. He produced some really good players, haven't they? I was going to name this player's name, but I think I'm going to stay away from it just because he's a trialist at the moment. But we do have a trialist.
Oh, no, come on. He's got the best wrestling name ever.
I'm only give one name away because I don't want to. I would hate for us to then get done because we've mentioned it and all the scouts are listening to our podcast.
Let's just do I'll do this for you, okay?
Yeah.
So his first name is a make of jeans, and his second name is the second name of a former voodoo witch doctor wrestler back in the early 90s.
Well, anyway, he's on trial from I think he's from a team that's very local to us who play in the Kent. I don't know why they played in Kent, but I think the South East Kent League or something. I don't know where they're playing. Basically, I think it's not even far off the Ryman Frem level. But it's on trial, scored a goal for us against Cheltenham. Apparently he's very quick, pacey, young, raw. I think we're going to probably end up giving him a contract. And then the other realistic one is because he's training with us, is Carlton Cole.
Yay!
What's your genuine for it? I'm going like if we haven't got our target man by the 30th of January at 23:59, then he gets a contract. But there's no way he gets a contract early on, surely.
I think it's nailed on already. I think the ink's already dry on his contract, to be honest with you.
Are you winding me up?
No, I think genuinely. I think clearly there's a connection somewhere. We were musing about this on Boxing Day, and I think the connection might be on the Jason Newell, Neil Ardley type line, because Carlton Cole was if you remember when he was a young player, coming up around the same age as Jason Newell.
Exactly, yes.
There was a group of players that would always go away together. They'd never played together, but they would always sort of go on holiday with each other, and he was in that group with Jason Newell. So I'm wondering if that's where the link is that's got him training with us. I just think if he's around the club anyway, I just think it's a done deal.
Actually, it's a heavy risk on a player who's played no proper football in 2 years. You're asking him to come into a relegation battle, which he's never used to. Actually, I lie. He's played West Ham, so he must be used to relegation battles. But I just think to me, that's a massive risk, and it's a risk you don't take unless you have no other options. In my honest opinion, that's can't go. Maybe a lovely bloke may need another club, can't need the money. Again, we just talked about player Dawson at Bury, who's got off the ball because of money. Where is the reward? Where is the motivation for Carlton Cole to do anything for us?
No, I agree with you, and I'm in total agreement with you. As I say, I'm not advocating him signing for us. I just think it's going to happen. But then, I mean, here's the thing. We go back to the Portsmouth game, and it was Portsmouth at home, wasn't it, where we ended up sticking Darius up front? Because we know that you've spoken earlier about not having that plan B. So, Carlton Cole, you're right. You're not saying don't take him. You're saying he is the last resort, and he would be better than nothing.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
We
need a target man, but I just if we've been looking around and targeting players, and that's all we've got, then I'm concerned. So
I'm interested in your fantasy signings.
Yeah, I'm not sure about fantasy. I think some put fantasy because they're contractual. So I'll go Matt Godden. I really like his Stevenage. He's not really a target man, but gets goals. Reminds me of someone like Cody McDonald. But I think we need two forwards in the window, personally. But he's on contract until I think 2018, so the summer. Probably need a fee, I reckon. The other one is I don't know how you pronounce it. The Cambridge forward. Yeah, the big lump.
Do you know Shooting Stars with Vic Rees and Bob Mortimer?
Yeah,
that's what they used to say sometimes.
So, but again, he's out of contract in the summer. But I think again it would need a fee. I don't think Cambridge are going to let him go. He's 22, not as old as I thought. And the final one, and I don't think this is as fancy as it makes out, would be to bring Bayo back. He has a habit of going back to old clubs.
Talking about Aziz?
Aziz?
Yeah, Bayo Aziz.
No, there's only one Bayo there, Mr. Akinfenwa. Right. He did sign an extension. No, he only ever signs 1 year deals. Has a habit of going back to old clubs. Done 2 stints at Gillingham. Did 2 stints at Northampton. Loves Wimbledon. We're in trouble. Could we tempt him? You know, are we going to get promoted? No, not really. He would be my fantasy signing and would do a job for us. You know, we said we couldn't play games back to back. He's playing a hell of a lot for Wickham. I know at a lower level, but what about that as a super sub?
You see his goal on Boxing Day?
Yes.
Awesome. So good.
That's what I'm saying. So if you could, you know, Bayo loves us. If you could say, Bayo, do you know what? Come back for half a season. You're probably going to finish your career soon anyway. But yeah, that'd be my fantasy one. But there's no. I've heard no rumours in that at all. By the way, it's just my one that I'd love to get back. But yeah, have you got any signings? Anyone you've looked at?
Me, no. I'm very much of the mind that Carlton Cole is signing for us. I think James Hansen is the one that's going to be having a lot of people chasing him, and we'd certainly be in the mix for him. I mean, I'm looking at your list. I mean, if you're talking about fantasy signings, I still say Alexis Sanchez. He's going for free. For 6 months for us for a tenner. But I also saw a rumour we're signing a player from Luton apparently, but that was Pelly Ruddock, who is a great player, but not what we need right now. He is a centre midfielder. So
yes,
unless we can get Danny Hilton back. I never thought I'd hear myself say that.
He was loved the first time, wasn't he?
Oh, wasn't he? Didn't he go down well? Yeah, I think I
liked him, but
we could have Hilton up front. We could have we could get Tyrone Barnett back, and then we could have Liam Trotter just sort of feeding Barnett and Hilton. Our fans would love that. George Franken becomes a regular starter.
And of course, we're making the assumption that no one's going to come and try and get Lyle in the window. Lyle's been playing reasonably well this season, so nothing. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Do you know what I mean? We're going when no one's going to come for our players. Well, at the moment, the only 2 players that probably have done anything, 3 players that have done anything for notice would be Darius Charles, Anthony Hartigan, and Lyle. I think they're the 3 that I think would be on people's radars at the moment. But I'm not saying we're losing players, but we have to remember also that Lyle's been on radars of a lot of clubs recently, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? In the last season, so you know, you're hoping you don't lose him either.
I wonder if there are some teams out there, the likes of which we said Oldham perhaps, Rotherham perhaps, that are going to have to readjust their squads because of loans that perhaps terminated in January. That they'd be the sort of clubs. Certainly Rotherham, I imagine, looking for another striker to bring in, and Lara might fit the bill for them. Who knows? And it's not like he hasn't played up in those parts previously in his career, but that's another conversation for another day. Hopefully it doesn't crop up ever again. If you were to have your one choice, though, of all those targets you've mentioned there, which, if you could have one, if you were guaranteed, if I said guarantee you we will get one of those, who would it be?
James Hansen by a mile. He's your front runner. He's your front runner by a mile, but I reckon he's on all the clubs' radars. They're in the bottom 8, I reckon.
Yes, and we're going to speak about the bottom 8 very shortly. But before we do, Should we have a quick break for Abdu Are You? Right, this week, Jimmy has gone to a player that he believes is one that very much enjoys chocolate.
Oh. So we've got Cadbury's. Who else makes chocolate?
No, that's it. No one else in the world. Cadbury's is it. Yes, you're quite right. It's Fred Cadbury's. He played for us in the 1921-22 season.
Chocolate. What else could chocolate be referenced to? Milk chocolate. I ain't got a clue.
No, you've not got it on the cryptic clue.
No, I never do.
It's a change, isn't it? Second clue, then, he is an FA Cup winner with us, but he made his senior debut at another London club in 1980.
So I've got a 1 in 11 chance now, haven't I?
Well, it depends if you include subs or not.
So I've got 1 in 12 chance.
Or 13.
There's only one.
Is there only one sub?
I swear it's going back to the time there's only one sub.
I will investigate whilst you have a think.
So, but made his debut in the FA Cup with another London club.
No, he didn't make his debut in the FA Cup. He just made his debut. I mean, it might have been in the FA Cup. I don't know. But he made his senior debut with another London club.
So let's think. So would it be Besson? Would it be Andy Thorne?
Okay, Andy Thorne.
No, why would it go Andy Thorne? What is it?
Well, you've got another. You have another clue, so it's fine.
Yes.
Okay. If you're not sure, we'll just stick with.
Let's go with next one. Yeah.
2 subs. I thought there was 2 subs.
Was there 2 subs?
2 subs, yeah.
Okay, 1 in 13 jobs.
Yes. Final clue: this player, this forward, scored 22 goals in 86 appearances for us. He was only more prolific with one other club, which was Coventry, in which he scored 43 goals in 98 games.
This is an easy one. Why have you given me this one? Do you feel sorry for me?
Well, it was fairly straightforward, but this means now you have to get it correct.
It's Terry Gibson.
It was indeed Terry Gibson. Well done. It's a shame because we didn't get to try and have you figure out the anagram, which is one of my favourites this week. But there you go. Yeah, Terry Gibson. But
so he made his debut with Spurs.
He did indeed.
God,
there you go.
Yeah, that's an easy one. Thank you for that.
That's all right, anytime. Well, it was easy for you. It might not have been easy for others, but also people probably enjoyed it more if they struggle with it because sometimes it is a little bit. We have been quite harsh in past weeks, so it's a nice gentle one. The chocolate reference.
Yes, you have, Nick. Yes.
Do you get that one?
Yeah, Terry's.
There you go. And the
get that.
The anagram, just for fun.
Yes.
Sir Bent Orgy.
See, I probably would have got it with that because I'd be too busy laughing at it.
Don't find that particularly amusing.
Cool.
There we go.
Oh, thank you.
That was nice and quick.
Everyone's a winner.
That's what she said. And let's
That's
move on
what she likes.
to the Gillingham game. But there's a little bit extra to go on this week, isn't there? So Gillingham is a traditional, typical 6-pointer at the bottom of League One. They are 4 points above us, so if we lose, that gap becomes very, very large at this stage of the season. However, as it is a clash of teams in the bottom 8, just about, you've been looking at some of the stats that our record against the other teams in the current bottom 8, haven't you? And seeing also how they are shaping up ahead of the new year. So I suppose I'll just let you...
Yeah, so someone got me thinking, actually, I was on a guest book today, and someone got me thinking about a record. Obviously, you look at Sky Sports do their record of, for say, Man U against, or Arsenal against the top 4, that sort of thing, and head-to-head, how does it look? Because I think, if we're being honest with you, being honest, this season we're in a relegation battle, as Neil Hardy has alluded to, or admitted. So I looked at the current bottom 8 teams and gone with, in terms of a round robin or a league table, just those teams involved and playing against each other, where do we sit? So the interesting thing is we sit 5th out of 8 teams with only 1 win in 6 games we played against the bottom 8. So me looking there going, our only win, it was away to Northampton, which was a Forester winner, wasn't it?
Yes.
The worrying thing is that goal difference. So when you were talking earlier about goals, scores, so we had 23 clean sheets against us. Am I saying it? Or, that's a backhanded way of saying it.
Very backward. We failed to score in 23 of our 45 games so far this year.
So we failed to score in 23 games out of 45 this year, But actually, if you look at how many goals he scored in 6 games against teams in and around us, we've only scored 2 goals.
Hold on. Against the teams what?
Around us,
right.
the 8 table, the 8-team league.
Yes.
If we're looking at bottom 8 at the moment, we've only scored 2 goals. That'd be 1 against Northampton, and the other one would be against Gillingham.
That's awful.
Yeah. So who do you think's top? Well, you've got the answers, but who do you think would have been top?
I've not got them right in front of me this moment, so
Cool.
I will not have a look. I will try and gander from what I can. Who's top of the bottom, as it were, of those 8
Against,
sides?
yeah.
I'm going to say Plymouth.
Yep.
Oh, it is.
And who's second?
How many?
Who's second?
Oh, who's second?
Joint second. It's only goal difference that keeps these 2 teams away from each other. And you're not going to like the answer.
Oh, then I'm not going to say it. Because it's a team that only has officially half a name when we play them.
Yeah. So that's concerned. So you've got Plymouth, who have got 17 points in 8 games.
Oh, fair play.
With 11 goals and 4 against. And you think about it, they're very good against picking up points around teams around them, which they hold 6 points a game.
Mm.
And them, unfortunately, yes, they are second with the same amount of points. Which worries the hell out of me when we have to play them in a 6-pointer not that far away.
Yeah, but then there's also a flip side of that, because I think they've only won once in their last 13, I think I heard.
Yeah, they have. You're right. Yeah, that was a stat that was bounced out.
Yeah, which means it just means that record against the teams in the bottom 8 would have come in the early part of the season. So,
and also one was against us. You know, they obviously beat us 2-0, didn't they? Or 2-1. 2-0? I don't know.
2-0.
So, yeah, who do you think's Bond of that little mini 8 league?
Oh, Bury or Northampton, one of those 2.
Gillingham.
Really?
Yes.
So how many have they? Oh, they've got 1 point, and that was against us, probably.
3 points they got. 3 draws.
3 draws.
So,
out of
again,
how many games?
Out of 7.
Right.
See, it swings around. Bury are second from bottom. It swings around about, but what it's sort of saying is, you know, this relegation could be decided on how we do against teams around us.
Yes.
You know, we go into a period of playing Gillingham Saturday and then playing them just after the FA Cup game, which could be, I think it shows the FA Cup game is massive in terms of how we go into that game.
It kind of helps, doesn't it, take the spotlight off the other game for a little bit of time. But it's also, so 2 of our next 3 are against teams in the bottom 8 with us. So
yeah, so fixture-wise, I was just looking at really where the fixtures were in terms of teams around us. Some teams, after Southend's game at home, some teams around us have got games on the FA Cup 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got a few teams that will basically play quite a few games, could be well away from us. But basically what I've done, I've just done a little prediction of all the games left. So I'll give you an example. Plymouth, they've just beat Oldham 4-1 on the 23rd and then won at franchise on Boxing Day. They're away to Blackpool on the 30th, home to Walsall, and then home to Bury on the FA Cup, 3rd round FA Cup day.
Okay.
So realistically, the way their record is, I've put Plymouth probably getting 5 points from that. So it just shows you, we spoke last week, didn't we, about there's a lot of points up for grabs. It's a really big part of the season. We've now got 3 points out of 6 available, and we've got another 2, Gillingham and Southend. So a lot of teams are playing each other around them. But yeah, I thought I would put in a mini 8-team league, and I was really surprised when I saw Plymouth basically bashing it, and another team bashing it. Yeah, 5 wins out of 8.
Yeah, that's mad.
That's pretty good. It basically tells you that the 6-pointers, they're playing under pressure, they're playing well. By all accounts, actually, Plymouth, one of the interesting stories coming out of Plymouth at the moment is, I can never pronounce his name properly, but they got him on a 2-month deal, the ex-Brentford midfielder, Digarora?
Oh, Digarora, yeah.
Yeah.
Digaragua, I think.
Digaragua, yeah. He is apparently only on contract until the end of January.
Right.
Until the beginning of January. And there are loads and loads of Championship and League One clubs sniffing around him. And by all accounts, he's been an outstanding player. They've basically attributed a lot of their good form since his arrival. So again, like we said, the transfer window, it could also mean some of the deals go out the window and go somewhere else. So a lot of work to do for Plymouth, because I don't think they're going to be favourites to keep him. But by all accounts, him and Kerry are the two main players that have started to perform, which has sort of gone inside with Plymouth's form.
So by the time we get to the Milton Keynes game, we'll be out and clear of that situation. They seem very much on a downward spiral in the same way that Plymouth seem very much on an upward one. Are we looking at that bottom three, as I see here, Northampton, Rochdale, Bury? I'm not seeing anything from them to suggest they're going to get out of it, are we?
No, there's rumours, again, because I was so bored at work today. It was so boring.
Hold on, you're always working fingers to the bone, you tell me.
It's time of year. Why do people go back to work between Christmas and New Year? Nothing to do.
Exactly. I think that's the point.
But they paid me, so that's a good thing. But I was looking around the rumours of what's going on, which is where I saw the Plymouth rumour with their midfielder. But Bury, by all accounts, are going to be putting some money again into the transfer window. So that's a worry. Doesn't surprise me, because I think they went for it in the first window, didn't they? So, I think it's just another go. Rochdale, not much about them. Again, Northampton seem to sort of give up the ghost, really. Not really many rumours. A lot of their fans asking for forwards to come in. I had a quick look at that team down the road. I think they're very much not behind their manager, which is quite funny, because they brought him in on a sort of like he was going to be their messiah, and actually done no better than what the previous idiot was doing.
No.
But so there's all the teams around there. I think they're going to be active in the window. I think we just need to get our players in. But obviously, as we went through last week, if the teams that finished 21st and 22nd in the last two seasons have escaped relegation, so it's not all doom and gloom. And I thought I'd do that. So I might keep an eye. on that little mini 8 league and see how we do going on towards sort of mid-Jan, end of Jan.
Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. And as you said, they're one of those teams, Gillingham, then, who we've travelled to on Saturday. Yes, I'm just checking the days in my head because I totally lose track. They're 4 points above us. They're last sixth. They've only lost one of their last 6 as well. And I'm looking here. Top scorers, Tom Eves has got 9 goals this season. Josh Parker's got 7 goals this season. They've got 16 goals this season. How many have we got in total? Like 19 or something?
Yeah.
Well, that tells you our problem, sums it up perfectly. They do seem like a team that don't really have much. There's not a great deal about them. They just seem very well organised. They're definitely playing for their manager. It's Lovell that's come in, hasn't it, and turned their fortunes around. So I think it's going to be 2 teams that are very well organised, that will always work very hard, never level that accusation at our team at all. We always put in a shift. Do you think it helps us being the away team in this fixture, though, on this occasion?
Maybe. I went to Gillingham last season, sorry, and it was, crikey, there was just no atmosphere whatsoever, as if the locals had just accepted that their team was rubbish. Not the Gillingham that I remember going back to the days of us winning 4-3s and stuff like that. A real good atmosphere and a really enjoyable time down at Priestfield. I think it really does depend on how their crowd is, and do they get their back. I think we'll take a good fan base there. Being the bank holiday or the New Year bank holiday as such. I think we'll take a good few.
Yeah, it's a bank holiday weekend, isn't it?
I think with Gillingham, you just need to try and stifle out their threats, and their main threat is Eves through the middle. One of the players that we were rumoured to have missed out on in the last window. So we saw him against us. He was a handful. Let's hope their goalkeeper is in superhuman form, as he was against us in the home game that we had the season, because he was just out as well, wasn't
he? Yeah.
So let's hope he has a mare that he has had elsewhere. I think if you keep Eves quiet, Parker, a weird one, we know about him, don't we? But he's a different player now. He's grown up. He's become a man now, hasn't he? But they are dangerous. But I've got a good feeling. I think we'll take at least a point there. I really do. And it goes into Southend. And finally, Southend is like the games against Oxford and stuff like that. Eventually, that sort of like the had record's got to turn. And I think having Southend at home on New Year's Day, I don't know. I think we'll win that. So I think we're going to some good games, and hopefully 4 points by the time we do the next podcast.
Do you know that Tom Eves in Gillingham set up a pop-up medical clinic that people could just come and visit him whenever they fancied, and he'd always make time for them and appointments for them? Do you know that?
No.
Yeah, he called it the Eves Drop-In Clinic. What's your prediction for the Gillingham game? Give me a scoreline. Give me a score prediction.
I think it'll be a 2-2 draw.
Like last season.
Always goals there.
And a couple of seasons before that when we stayed up on the last day. Gillingham, yeah, I agree with you. I think it actually will take 4 points for the next two. But it wouldn't surprise me. I'm actually going to be bold and say a 2-1 win for us at Priestfield on Saturday. Why? I don't know. But
Wouldn't surprise me to win there. It really wouldn't. The main thing is, like anything this time of the year, we don't want two back-to-back defeats. We don't want to come away from there with nothing. That's the key.
Absolutely. What other game are you looking at particularly on the weekend?
I'm not.
You're not every week.
I've not done my research on that one.
Oh wow! Well, I'll tell you now. I've picked out Doncaster versus Rochdale because Rochdale need a win, and against Doncaster they could still fall into a little bit of trouble despite their good win on Boxing Day. So, fingers crossed. That was against Northampton, though, to be fair. So
Fabulous.
Everyone beats Northampton. No, it's true. Right. I guess that brings to an end this week's show, isn't there? Isn't there? Doesn't it, even? I can't even get my words out
Our
now.
last one of the year, right?
Our last one of 2017, and it's been a wild ride of mid-table, largely dull, uninspired football. But we hope we've brightened up your calendar year with some of our music. You know what we didn't do, Stu? We didn't do our Christmas presents. We forgot last week. We forgot to swap our Christmas presents, didn't we? Should we do it this week, very quickly?
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, do you want me to... do you know what? If I just... let me just get my stuff together, and I'm just going to send across my present to you, and you can unwrap it live on air through the magic of audio. There you go. That's your present just gone across to you. If you want to unwrap that and tell the listeners what I have got you.
Oh, very kind.
What is it? Tell the listeners. They can't see it.
Rose-scented bin bags.
Rose-scented bin bags. There we go. The likes of which Darius Child. Oh, and I've just got your present here, and I think I can... That's what I thought it was. Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
I thought you looked very good walking down the street or walking to Wimbledon with that.
It's a Alexa Bliss, Little Miss Bliss T-shirt, which is very kind of you. I do already have it.
Don't surprise me.
And that's what I was wearing on the day of WrestleMania this year.
Doesn't surprise me.
I purchased the Alexa Bliss shirt, and I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to wear it to WrestleMania. I know it's going to look ridiculous. And then I was probably one. It was quite funny. We were sat there at WrestleMania, and it's a long show. And throughout the duration, I was just tapping my mate on the shoulder going, there's another man in an Alexa Bliss T-shirt. Oh, look, there's another man in an Alexa Bliss T-shirt.
Well, I had a receipt, so I'll get you another. I'll get you another T-shirt for Alexa Bliss. I'm sure she has another one.
She does. She has several. So thank you very much. Very kind.
No problem.
And that brings to an end. That brings to an end to our show and our year. And we just want to say thank you very much for listening. All the kind words and comments that we receive from you, very much appreciated. We're glad you're enjoying the podcast and the Facebook Live stuff we do, and we hope you continue to in 2018. That's it for this week, though. Stu, thank you very much for joining me.
No problem.
Thank you for listening once again, and join us next week when we will be speaking to Portsmouth striker Brett Pittman about how to keep your feet in a stiff breeze. Alexa Bliss, Bang First, Milk Last, and we will speak to you again next week.